What's up, babes? It's Curly Victoria. I am back with another video. If you guys are new here, hi, welcome to the channel. I was actually just working on some stuff and I decided, let me make some content right now. I feel like everybody these days is an influencer. Everybody these days is a digital creator, a content creator. But I really wanted to speak specifically on lock influencing or influencer just altogether. So I personally feel like if you're going to deem yourself as an influencer, make sure that you're influencing others. And when you go ahead and make sure that you're influencing others, make sure you're influencing them on a positive level or on a level that's going to take them this way and not on a downward slope. Oftentimes it's like if you are literally, you guys have probably heard the expression before where if you are supposed to be leading and you're taking a walk and you turn around and nobody's following you, you're not leading, you're just on a walk, okay? You're like on a stroll in the park. So if you are going to be influencing, if you're going to be an influencer, some people take pride in the term influencer, but I feel like you have to literally understand that to have an influence on something is to have an effect. And to have an effect is getting a reaction or getting somebody to either, be influenced in a negative manner or in a positive manner. So if you are going to be out here putting content out and stuff like that, you should really be thinking about who am I channeling this to and is it going to affect them in a positive manner. I'm not going to be putting content out telling people, oh, don't do these things that I know are not going to build them up as a person, or telling people to do things that I know is going to be a detriment to who they are. At that point, I feel like I'm responsible for the outcome when I'm sitting out here putting negativity or I'm putting out things that you shouldn't be doing and not helping you grow. So, for example, people say all the time, oh, I'm a lock influencer. Oh, I'm a da-da-da influencer. And it's like, what are you influencing? Like if I'm on my channel and I'm talking about my hair, but I really don't have, all I'm doing is just talking, but I'm not showing you results. I'm not showing you how you too can grow long hair or show you how to take care of your hair or how this is a detriment to my hair. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, or just like rationales as to why this does work for your hair, etc. Okay, y'all, so the video got cut real quickly, but I just wanted to continue on. I'm gonna make several videos and then I'm gonna work on business tonight, but I just wanted to say, don't be sitting here calling yourself an influencer or influencing people to go down a negative slope. If you feel like you can't inspire people for the good, then maybe you should stay off of media, because obviously no, okay, when somebody is getting on media knowing that they're depressed or knowing that they're da 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 da, no, you can't get into that person's mind and make them change the way that they think. But what you can do is put out positive and uplifting things that are going to make them say, maybe I can do this or maybe I can do that. I feel like it's completely pointless if my platforms are not affecting people in a positive manner. I felt like at some point when the pandemic happened, I started to see this wave of, oh, women empowerment, and I'm not saying anything against it. If you know me as a person, you know me before media, you know me as a kid. I have always beauty, fashion, lifestyle, and have been a person who my target audience have been women. The most people who literally watch and support my content are women. And it's just been like that even before. So I've already was someone who was a leader who literally background and all of that centered and focused on empowerment. But I felt like during the pandemic, it became a trend. And it's just you could see some people people you don't know, and you could see the facade. When you're genuine and you're really about what you're about, it's going to come natural. It's going to be radiant. Your countenance is going to glow. You're going to be passionate in what it is that you're talking about. But what I was seeing a lot of times was it seemed superficial, and it seemed like, oh, if I take on this trend of women empowerment and girl boss, then maybe it'll help my content to grow. But then when you see that individual or you see those people, it's just you're not even really about what you're saying, but you want me to support what you're doing. It's like, and that's just one of the topics. There's so many of them, but basically what I'm saying is to make a difference, to be an inspiration, to literally, have something that's innate. It's going to come natural. You don't have to force it. It doesn't have to be a facade. It's harder to keep up being fake than it is to just be yourself. You're better off being yourself. But it's just like when you pull these names, you pull these different titles away from people, it's like what's left underneath. You know what I mean? You say you're the boss, but how do you treat your people? How do you treat your employees? How do you treat your friends? How do you treat, like me, I'm a very blunt person. Like, I'm straight to the point. Some people gonna tell me I'm mean. Some people gonna tell me, hey, I have one of my friends. She's like, girl, you're blunt, you're to the point, and a lot of people can't take that. She's like, I can, because I want somebody to be like that to me, and other people who feel the same way want that. I'm just not a sugarcoat person. I'm black or white, no gray areas. Like, I'm not gonna say what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you how it is, because I want the same thing to be told to me. How you perceive my honesty, that's up to you. But my delivery, it could come off a little stern, but it's always from a place of like, I'm not about to sugarcoat it with you. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. And that's just who I am. I'm very blunt, but outside of my bluntness, I am very much so a considerate, passionate person. And I'm not trying to upsell myself or sell myself, but what I am saying is a lot of my friendships, a lot of the relationships that I build, even in business atmospheres and things like that, people gravitate to me. Why? Because it is a genuine, just this part of who I am. So when I worked in jobs where I managed, the only people who ever, normally I don't even have people to say anything bad, but if you ever have anybody to say anything bad about you, it's normally the person who wants your position. However, or they're threatened by your skill sets and abilities. So it becomes like a internal competition with them against you. And really, when you are aiming to be your best self, the competition is from within. So there's never a time where I should be feeling like I'm competing with the next person, because I'm never going to be happy if I feel like they're better than me or whatever. So if people focused on really just, if you focus on you and understanding that you're striving to have the better version of yourself come into existence, then you will realize that what he has going on, what she has going on, has nothing to do with you. There's no reason why you should be comparing yourself to somebody else. You know what I mean? I told somebody that the other day. I said, they were like, oh, I wish I had your life, or da da da. They told somebody that, and I said, you don't wish that, because you never know what it took for a person to get it. You never know what it's taking for that person to maintain it. And if you wish you had their life, then there will be no you, because you wouldn't be able to have your life. And you always want to have the authentic you. You always want to, don't ever try to want someone else's circumstances. You just never know what comes with that. So just be grateful for who you are. But if you are in an influential world, my message to you is, do not influence people in a negative manner. If you don't think you can do that, then stay off of social media or keep a personal page. But do not integrate your business. Do not integrate your media platforms for negativity. There's so many people who are going through things in the world, and I've literally had depressed people come onto my page who might message me on the side, either in the comments or in the DM. I've had people who, suicide had been a common thing. People who just needed to pick me up because, they just needed to hear somebody tell them that they can do it. People who didn't know, like, okay, how do I go from point A to point B in my life? How do I see my life jump to the next level? People who were like, okay, how do I get started? I have so many different situations. It's so unique on my channel. So when I'm on here, I'm making sure that I'm literally putting out content that makes sense. You don't ever want to put out like content that you're not living. I feel like in the end of the day, you have more people who, if you're genuine in what you do, you don't have to fake what it is that you're trying to present. anything that I do, from beauty, fashion, lifestyle, any type of content that I put out, it's the reflection of who I really am. I'm not going to fake trying to be this person or be that person. I'm going to be who I am because it's easier being me. And I don't aspire to be anyone else. So in the event that you ever feel like, okay, there's times where I'm filming and I completely don't want to film. I literally could have a moment where I'm just like, I'm annoyed. I could have a moment where there's a million things going on in my life. I can have so many different moments, and sometimes it's the transparency of those moments that I will actually film, because there might be somebody who's going through the exact same thing as me. And the one thing that I feel is that nobody, well, obviously none of us are perfect, but every day won't be roses. And I say this every day, like just about every day won't be roses, but it'll be worth it if you know what it is that you're striving to do. If you continue, like, there's going to be days where you're not going to feel motivated, but you have to be consistent and you have to be disciplined. When I look at all of the things that I've accomplished from early on until now, it's just like every day I wasn't super motivated, but I made sure that I was consistent. I was disciplined. I set the goals. There's times where I have friends, I have business partners, acquaintances, and they're just like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm going out, are you coming? And it's just like, no, I have to do X, Y, and Z, because that discipline is going to carry you. That consistency is going to carry you. If you allowed yourself to dictate your life off of the way you felt, you're not going to get far, because you don't always feel like doing something, but that doesn't mean that you don't do it. So it's just literally about, like I said, it's about the consistency, the discipline, and the routine. We have a routine, a certain way of doing things, then you'll find that you are a lot more successful in your day than the person who doesn't. Oftentimes, y'all hear me talk about schedule blocking, how schedule blocking is very much so a positive thing when you want to maximize the time frame in your day. So if we have 24 hours in a day and you block off every hour of that day, you know exactly what you're doing for 24 hours. So I could wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and I could say from 5 to 8 o'clock, I'm going to go to the gym, take a shower, walk the dog. And then from like 8 to 10, I'm going to eat. 11 to 3, I'm going to work on business. 3 to 5, I'm going to call businesses. 5 to 8, I'm going to go catch a vibe, just go somewhere real quick. And then from like 9 to 10, I'm going to do self-care, go to sleep, all that. So if you block off your schedule, you block off your days based on what you have on your calendar, you're going to find that you're a lot more productive and you're able to get a lot more things done. You should already know what you have planned for the next day prior to the next day. You shouldn't be going through your days like, we'll figure it out. I mean, you can, but in the end of the day, the more that you could be more strategic on your schedule, you could be strategic in your planning, the better days you'll have, the more productivity you will have, and the more you will be able to speak on how to achieve and obtain goals. So when I'm making some of my videos, it's that thing of like, I might not be in the mood to do it, but at the same time, it's not only giving you insight of like, I don't feel like doing this, but it's showing you me not being motivated at that moment, but being consistent, being disciplined. And like I said, I feel like the biggest thing you can do when you know that there's people who tap into your content or anything like that, the biggest thing you can do is show and be consistent of what you're doing. So I could talk all day about how to grow healthy, long hair. But if I'm not showing you, if I'm not, giving you the recipe on things that are going to help, then what sense is it for me to talk about it? Talk is cheap. If you can't put action behind what it is you're talking about, then it doesn't even matter what you're talking about. You probably should stop talking. So that's just my little message. Just make sure that like whatever it is that you do, we do not have to do the same thing. I say it all the time. You don't have to do the same thing as everybody. You could be living a completely different life. You could be in the business realm. You could be in the media realm. You could be in so many different realms. The car business realm. It doesn't matter what you're in. Any of those industries, you have the opportunity to be successful. Any of those opportunities, you have the opportunity to set the goals. So it all boils down to, what do you want? Where are you trying to go? And are you trying to be in the same place now, next year? You should be in a constant state of evolving. If you look back a year ago versus now, where were you? If you say that you're in the same place as a year ago, then that means that you have been stagnant. You're not growing. But if you could take a look now and say, shoot, a year ago, this is where I was at, and this is how far I've come, then you know that you're in a constant state of evolving. Anytime you get into a state where you don't evolve, that means you're stagnant, which means you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not going to be able to be live out your maximum potential and be your best self. So for me, I do have a lot of friends. I have friends who I've known for years. I have friends all out of state and things like that. But I'm not big on every time I go somewhere just trying to make a friend. That's not the type of person. All of my friendships, literally, I've had for years. And it's just kind of that thing of like, you got to know how to be a friend to keep friends. But also you have to make sure that your friend group, your acquaintances, your colleagues, your business partners, they have to be quality. Because if they don't have substance, then they don't stay around. And then you have to be careful not to keep people around you. There's wolves in sheep clothing, so you have to make sure that you don't have the wrong people around you. Some people, you gotta literally watch for the people who don't clap when you win. Because sometimes they're standing right next to you. Sometimes you've known them for years, but you're just so conditioned to think, because you're related to somebody, because you know this person for this amount of years, because you grew up with this person, you're just conditioned to think that they're going to have your best interest, or that they're never going to get to a place where a seed of jealousy grows. You have to keep your eyes open. Nobody's exempt. So yeah, that's my little message. I feel like my message went a little bit long, but to make a long story short, if you turn around, if you're leading a group of people and you turn around and they're no longer following, then you're on a walk. You are not leading. So you want to check yourself there. The next thing that you kind of want to take out of this video is to make sure that if you are using your platforms and you are influencing any person, no matter what the genre, the category is, just make sure it's in an uplifting, edifying manner. You don't want to be just putting stuff out there that's just going to take people down and rip them apart. You can keep that to yourself. And the next thing is just making sure that you have quality people, quality schedule, quality routine, and that you just are always in a state of evolving. And if you can do those things, you should have a pretty productive year. And then just kind of budget out things, get things together, write out your goals, read some books, set some goals and actually hold yourself accountable. Too often we say what we want to accomplish, and then when we don't do it, we just say, oh, next year. But no, actually hold yourself accountable. I'll see you on the next one.